So it's been a little over 3 months since I purchased this Mortal Kombat Arcade1Up Costco bundle. So I thought it was about time I give my thoughts on 3 months of ownership and everything that I've spent, all the mods that I've done. These are all very simple mods, nothing major. There's no Raspberry Pis, no larger screen, but I have done some stuff to it. So I just thought I'd show you guys everything that I've spent and if I think this was all worth it. So this was the first thing that I got. It was these finishing washers with these flathead screws. And this is personal preference. Some people may not like these. They might prefer the original screws. I kind of like the look of this, but again, that's personal preference. The next thing that I did was I painted my black dust caps red to match my bat tops. And again, personal preference. This didn't cost anything, but I think it looks better than the black. I know the arcade had black, and I kind of want to keep it as close to the arcade as possible, but I think it just looks better. And I think I did a great job of matching that paint. Next thing I did, everybody pretty much knows about already. I painted those exposed screws. I put caps on them, and yeah, you still can't see these. There's 6 there. You can't see any of them as you pan up. Now, I know there's other folks that were doing this before me, at least putting the caps on. I think that I'm the first one that decided to paint his, or at least kind of document that I was painting them. Very inexpensive to do. There is someone on eBay selling solid colored caps, but those aren't going to work in every situation. So here's one thing I tried to do, but it just didn't work out. So right now, I guess in this light, this marquee doesn't look too bad. But as you can see, it's very pink. That Mortal Kombat and the Roman numeral 2 should be very, very red, and it's just not. And that's pretty much how it looks in person right now. The yellow looks all right. The black is really washed out. Something I tried to do, I took this box apart, this marquee box, and I tried to layer a couple of different automotive tint layers. Now one is, I can't remember the percentage of each one, but I got these for free from a guy that I know at a tint shop. And it just didn't work out right. Now as you can see, when I put this over here, this would have been on the inside, but what it did was it just made everything really dim and didn't help the problem. It still looked, I just thought maybe that the LED in there was so bright that that's what was causing the problem. When I found out it's the inside of the box, it's how this thing is made that's causing the problem. So I'm not going to be upgrading that to one of these aftermarket. It's something that I paid for and I can't really fix it on my own. So I'm not going to spend another 60 bucks just for a little bit brighter color. You know, I wish they could just fix it themselves, but for right now, I'm just going to stick with what I got. Anybody have a solution for these stock lighted marquees on how to make these colors pop more? I would love to hear about it in the comments section. Next thing that I did was do the 4-pound springs and octagonal gates. And I didn't make a video on that because there's so many people that have done it already and got thousands and thousands of views. I'm happy with it. It's really tight. I almost wish I would have went with maybe a 2-pound spring because I somehow think that my moves are easier to pull off when it was looser. I do like the octagonal gate, but the springs they're really tight compared to this Marvel. I mean, this feels like a limp wiener.
Ask me about my wiener
compared to this. But it's weird going from one to the other. There's such a difference. Everybody else was doing it and I thought, well, I guess this is what I should do. I could put my 1 pounds back in, or maybe just buy 2 pounds and kind of split the difference. Next thing I did was put this, I guess you call it, lower control panel graphic. I almost did something here and decided, I'm not sure what yet. I really am not a fan of this panel. I know some other YouTubers aren't as well, but I don't know really what I want. Do I want a coin door? I'm not really sure. But what I decided to focus on was, like with my Marvel, it's just this big blank space, and it looks very unfinished. So what I did was went to Arcade1Up and I ordered one. The problem was the one that they sent me looked like this, which I'll pull up a graphic here of what it should have looked like. So after talking with the owner, he said, yeah, we may have had an error in the printing process, so he was nice enough to ship me another one. Well, then I got this one. Now this one's this one's not even like the one in the picture that I was supposed to get. So neither one of them were really what I thought I was getting. And I just didn't feel like pursuing this anymore. I was just like, whatever. So what I ended up doing, there's one on each side of this panel. And if something were to happen to this one, I can just flip it around and I can go with the other one. I think this is closer to the arcade, and it kind of goes with that. This is so super easy to install. I mean, this was actually kind of fun to do. And it definitely sets it apart. I think it looks way, way better than what it did stock. Next thing that I did was add a sound bar. Since this does have the headphone jack in the back of these newer PCBs, I just decided I wasn't happy with the single speaker. I made a video on that. I'll put a link in the description to that one. I am happy with how it turned out. I think it sounds much better. It is pretty unnoticeable, as you can see there. And when you're playing, you're just not seeing it. The final thing I did was put on a bezel graphic with all the moves, finishing moves, everything for Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. And it turned out all right. More difficult. I will do a time lapse. I was going to do a separate video, and the camera cut off towards the end, so I just scrapped it. But I'll show some of the footage of me doing it. You got to make sure that you have a really good sharp knife when you're doing this. When you're cutting out the center of that, you want to make one pass and that's it. You don't want to keep going over it. Do your measurements, make sure where you're cutting. Overall, the finished product looks pretty cool. The only downside is when you're playing in lower light, and if you, depending on how good your eyes are, these moves are tough to see. So I have this little pig light that I use sometimes, and I'll leave it up here. And if I'm playing kind of in a darker scenario, I'll just say I pick a different character I'm not used to. I'll just kind of give it a light up. Kind of what that did though is limit me to a 17-inch monitor, because there's really not a lot of trim room at all left that could accommodate a larger monitor. So if I did decide to upgrade to a different monitor, I would have to get rid of that. Maybe just buy a new bezel altogether. Now I also have the Mortal Kombat stool that came with this bundle, and I did add a swivel plate. I'm not going to factor in that cost. I'm not going to include that as money spent on this cabinet. That was totally a different thing. So as promised, I'm going to total everything up that I spent on this thing, tax included, break it all down, and I'll give you the grand total. The cabinet was $350 plus tax was $378. The finish washers, they were $1.38. The screws that went with those were also $1.38. The screw caps were $4.28. The 4-pound springs were $7.28. The octagonal gates were $2. That's with shipping included. Great deal on those. The red dust covers cost me nothing. I did that myself. The lower panel graphic, that was $19.96. The screen bezel graphic was $27.42. And finally, the speaker was $30. All right, so that's every penny that was spent. And the grand total is $471.70. Now, depending on how you look at it, that could be inexpensive. I'm not really sure what other folks spent on their cabinets. I would assume that a lot of people are, when they're modding these, they're getting them on clearance. These deals that I'm seeing on Reddit, $75 for Final Fight, that kind of stuff, It may have happened near me, but I'm just not quick enough to get it. You know, by the time I get the brick seek, somebody that works at Walmart's already let somebody else know, and that stuff's gone. So I had to pay a premium for this thing. Now, I got a lot with it. You got to factor in that stool, which I now have 2. That's a $160 value, or roughly, or 150, 140. You can look at it that way. So that was a pretty good deal. I did get a lighted marquee, even though it's not the best. That saves me some money. So I don't really know what other folks have spent. I don't see a whole lot of people on YouTube, when they do showcase their mods, they don't break down the costs. These were all some very small, I would call inexpensive mods, so I just thought I'd break it all down and just be very transparent and let everybody know this is what I spent. This is more than I really wanted to spend initially when I bought it, but will I put more into it? Only time will tell. So what are my thoughts on this cabinet after 90 days? Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think for what you're getting with those bundles, you're getting that upgraded screen, you're getting the board with the HDMI that I've been told can be used for updates of any kind. Say they need to do some kind of a firmware update. And you've also got the audio jack that you can add a speaker to or do some other stuff with. Overall, I think this was a pretty good deal. Got a custom riser with this bundle. You got this really nice stool, which they did screw me and give me a Pac-Man stool instead of the Mortal Kombat.
Damn you! God damn you all to hell!
The customer service for Arcade1Up really needs to get better. I didn't get this stool until, I'm thinking it was after, I think it was in December. Okay, so I bought this bundle in September. I didn't get the stool replacement until December. I don't know what went on, and I fought with Arcade1Up. I had 3 people involved in my ticket, all of them apologizing each time, like, oh, we're so sorry, we'll get right on that. I don't know what happened. They told me to keep the Pac-Man, which was fine, but I just wanted the proper stool. Well, I mean, overall, it's very nice. I think the controls, I wish could have been a little bit more upgraded, kind of like the Marvel. For a little bit of money, you can get a little bit better. I didn't do anything with the buttons yet. I'm just debating. I've got a lot invested into this thing. And if I was going to put any more money into it, it would be either an upgraded monitor with a Raspberry Pi. Those would be the only 2 things. And then I would probably have to do some sort of button configuration, something, if depending on the games I want to play. Do I want a 6-button configuration like this one? The reason I haven't done any more upgrades is because of what I have into it. If I could have got this thing for a little bit cheaper, surprisingly, I saw this bundle. Somebody had 3 of these, the Costco bundles, on Letgo. They wanted $200 a piece. I couldn't believe this was after I'd already bought mine. That would have saved me $200 easily and would have saved a lot of money to do a lot more upgrades. But for right now, I'm going to keep it the way it is and just enjoy it for what it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please give me a like, consider subscribing, and hit that bell so you're notified when I upload some new content. All right, guys, see you all next time. Thank you for watching.